A chapel in Portugal is lined from head to toe in human skeletal remains. This chapel was named Capella dos Ossos, the Chapel of Bones. At the entrance, in the Chapel of Bones, a warning sign salutes the visitors, reading, "We bones that are here for you awaits." The chapel contains the bones of 5,000 deceased monks coming from the cemeteries of various churches, including 2 human bodies hanging from ropes inside the chapel, and one of them is the body of a child. Many of the skulls in the Chapel of Bones are scribbled with graffiti, having been defaced by vandalism. Inside the Chapel of Bones, a poem about the need to reflect on one's existence hangs in an old wooden frame on one of the pillars. It is attributed to Antonio de Asensio, parish priest of the village of São Pedro. The poem reads, "Where are you going in such a hurry, traveler? Pause. Do not advance your travel. You have no greater concern than this one, that on which you focus your sight. Recall how many have passed from this world. Reflect on your similar end. There is good reason to do so, if only all did the same. Ponder, you so influenced by faith, among the many concerns of the world, so little do you reflect on death. If by chance you glance at this place, stop for the sake of your journey. The longer you pause, the further on your journey you will be." On the 26th of April 1986, at Reactor 4 of Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant in Ukraine, 2 senior engineers were arguing over whether or not they should run a potentially dangerous test on the reactor. They finally decided to run the test, but unfortunately, the nuclear reactor core malfunctioned and tragically exploded. Many tons of highly radioactive cesium-137 was released into the atmosphere from the burning reactor core. The nuclear fallout from the explosion affected much of Europe. The city of Pripyat was one of the worst affected areas. It was built to house the workers at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. 350,000 people from the city of Pripyat and other towns several miles around the nuclear disaster was permanently evacuated from their homes. A large area around the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, covering 1,000 square miles, was completely abandoned because it was contaminated with fatal levels of radiation. The abandoned area is known as the Zone of Alienation and is now the most severely abandoned place on Earth. This area has now been taken over by nature and animals heavily disfigured by radiation. The trees surrounding the reactor core also received a severely large dose of radiation and were subsequently killed. This area was given the name of the Red Forest because the radiation caused them to turn reddish-brown color. According to scientists, the exclusion zone, also known as the Zone of Alienation, will not be safe enough for humans to re-inhabit for another 20,000 years. In North Korea's capital, Pyongyang, is a really creepy sight to behold. The construction of this massive structure began in 1987. North Korea was expecting an influx of tourists to witness the self-proclaimed greatest nation on Earth. The Soviet Union fell, and in 1992, North Korea ceased construction due to a lack of funds. This 105-floor massive hotel has stood completely empty ever since. But in 2008, things started to appear hopeful when North Korea announced that they had resumed work on the hotel. Then in 2011, the exterior was eventually completed with glass panels. The excitement was short-lived because North Korea was unable to muster up enough funds to complete the interior of the hotel. The opening of the hotel has been scheduled numerous times in recent years, but every time it has been postponed. Some sources say that the interior of the hotel is still a completely empty shell. North Korea is an extremely secretive place. Who knows what's actually going on inside there? Isla de las Muñecas, which translates to Island of the Dolls, is a terrifying island which is located just south of Mexico City in the middle of a swamp-like canal. Island of the Dolls is one of the creepiest islands in the world. This spine-chilling location is covered in scary children's dolls. This island is decorated with hundreds of possessed-looking dolls. It is said that the island's caretaker and its only inhabitant, known as Don Julian Santana Barrera, discovered a little girl in the waters of the island who had drowned under mysterious circumstances. Julian found the little girl with a doll and decided to hang it on a nearby tree as a mark of respect for the deceased girl. However, Julian believed that he was being haunted by the spirit of the little girl. To appease the spirit of the little girl, he started to hang more dolls from trees. Before long, Julian had covered the island with hundreds of dolls. He started to believe that all the dolls which he had hung on trees were possessed by the spirit of dead girls, and this slowly drove Julian to insanity. Julian was found dead in the same water after 50 years of collecting and hanging up dolls. Julian had drowned in the same water where he found the little girl's body many years ago. Some say that Julian was simply a crazy person, while others say he never found the dead body and that Julian made up the story, but no one really knows the truth. Poveglia Island in the Venetian Lagoon, Italy, is said to be one of the most haunted places on earth. Poveglia Island is located a stone's throw away from Venice. This island is also known as Plague Island because it was used as a quarantine station for people who had the plague. It was said that over 160,000 people infected with the plague were sent to this island to be isolated from society. Over 95% of people sent to the Poveglia Island to be quarantined never left the island because they died from the plague and were burned or buried right there on the island. Mass graves were made on the island, and thousands upon thousands of corpses were dumped on top of one another. The soil in the Poveglia Island is said to consist of 50% human ashes. There was a mental asylum built on this island between 1922 and 1968. The doctor at this mental asylum tortured and killed many of his patients. The doctor would also conduct dreadful experiments on his mental patients, but in the end, the doctor went out of his mind and committed suicide by jumping out of the bell tower located in the mental asylum. Disney World, Florida, a place full of happiness and little children. You would think nothing bad could happen here, but Disney World, Florida, located in Orlando, Florida, is home to one of the scary abandoned places on Earth. Walt Disney bought an island in 1965 in the middle of Bay Lake at the Orlando-based Disney World Resort. This island was originally named Treasure Island, but was later changed to Discovery Island to stop people digging up the soil. The island was officially opened to guests in 1974. Discovery Island became a wildlife attraction where guests from all over the world could observe rare species such as Galapagos tortoise, lemurs, and many others. In July 9th, 1999, the island was suddenly closed to the public, and all the animals were rapidly relocated to zoos away from the island. No one knew why the Discovery Island attraction was closed, but rumors have suggested that a bacterium capable of killing humans called amoeba was discovered in the waters surrounding the island. The island became abandoned and was left to be taken over by the wild. Only a small number of people have stepped foot on the island ever since. And today, it's an uncanny reminder of the fun park attraction that once was. The island is full of abandoned buildings and attractions, all engulfed by nature. The island has become home to highly aggressive vultures and snakes. This dilapidated and potentially life-threatening island still sits undisturbed and quietly concealing its mysteries.